The 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid is one of those SUVs that makes you stop, stare, and think, wow, they actually pulled it off. And trust me, when you hear what Toyota has done this time, you're going to be just as surprised as I was. Because the Land Cruiser has always had this reputation of being rugged, dependable, a little bit old school, the kind of SUV that looks just as comfortable in the middle of the desert as it does in a suburban driveway. But for 2026, Toyota has decided to blend that old-school toughness with modern hybrid technology, and the result is something really special. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid deserves a spot on your dream garage list. Let's start with the way it looks, because I know half of you are here just to see what Toyota has done with the design. And here's the thing. The 2026 Land Cruiser Hybrid doesn't try to be sleek or futuristic. No. It embraces that boxy, almost retro silhouette that made the old models so iconic. It has this tall, commanding stance that instantly screams capability. The front end is upright with that bold Toyota badge sitting proudly in the middle of a grille that's big, but not cartoonishly oversized like some modern SUVs. And the headlights? They're LED, of course, with this square design that feels like a modern take on the classic Land Cruiser face. The wheel arches are chunky, the body lines are strong, and even though it's a hybrid, it doesn't hide behind aerodynamic curves. This SUV wants to remind you that it's built for adventure. Now, one thing that really stood out to me is the proportions. Compared to some of its rivals like the Land Rover Defender or even Toyota's own Sequoia, the Land Cruiser feels just a little more compact. Not small by any means, but manageable. It's the kind of SUV you'd feel confident taking on a tight trail without worrying about scraping half the side panels. And depending on the trim, you'll get wheels ranging from 18 to 20 inches, all designed with that tough, go-anywhere look. Plus, Toyota has some great color options this time around, including a really striking shade of heritage green that just feels right on a Land Cruiser. Honestly, when you see this thing on the road, you know it means business. But of course, the real surprise is when you step inside the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid, because if the outside is rugged, the inside is where Toyota shows off its high-tech side. The cabin is spacious, practical, and packed with features you'd actually use. Right in front of you is a digital instrument cluster that can switch between classic analog-style dials or a more futuristic digital layout. Then, in the center, you've got a massive 12.3-inch touchscreen with Toyota's latest infotainment system. It's fast, it's crisp, and finally, Toyota has nailed the user experience. Wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, over-the-air updates. It's all here. And here's something you'll love. There are still physical knobs and buttons for climate control and key functions, because let's be honest, nobody wants to dig through 3 menus just to change the fan speed. The seating is another area where Toyota has clearly thought about both comfort and durability. Depending on the trim, you can get cloth seats, soft techs, or full leather. The higher trims even come with heated and ventilated seats up front, and in some versions, the second row gets that treatment too. And yes, you can choose between a 2-row or 3-row setup, so whether you're hauling friends, family, or just gear, the Land Cruiser adapts. What I noticed most was the attention to practicality. There are storage spaces everywhere. Big cup holders, deep door bins, a huge center console, even a cool box option for keeping drinks cold. Toyota knows this SUV is going to be used for road trips, camping, and family adventures, so they've built it to handle all of that. Now let's talk about the heart of the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid, because this is where the old school and high-tech mix in the best way. Gone is the big naturally aspirated V8 that used to define Land Cruisers. Instead, we get a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder paired with Toyota's iForce Max hybrid system. Now, before you roll your eyes at a 4-cylinder in a Land Cruiser, listen to this. Combined output is 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. That's more torque than the old V8, and it comes in way lower in the rev range thanks to the electric motor. What that means in real life is that this SUV feels quick off the line, confident when towing, and super capable when crawling over rough terrain. And wait till you hear this. Fuel economy is dramatically better. We're talking around 27 miles per gallon combined, which for a full-size off-road capable SUV is seriously impressive. Driving the 2026 Land Cruiser Hybrid is honestly an experience. On the road, it feels smoother and quieter than you'd expect. The hybrid system allows it to glide on electric power at low speeds, which makes it great for city driving or creeping through a trail without spooking wildlife. The suspension is tuned for comfort but doesn't shy away from handling rough roads. And when you take it off-road, because let's face it, you have to, this thing just shines. It has full-time four-wheel drive, a 2-speed transfer case, locking center, and rear differentials, and Toyota's crawl control system that basically acts like an off-road cruise control. You just set your speed, take your feet off the pedals, and let the Land Cruiser figure out the traction. Combine that with multi-terrain select, which optimizes the power delivery for mud, sand, rocks, or snow, and you're looking at one of the most capable hybrid SUVs ever built. One of my favorite things is how seamless the hybrid system feels when you're driving. There's no awkward handoff between the engine and the motor. It just works. And unlike some hybrids that feel like they're designed purely for efficiency, the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid uses its electric motor to boost power in a way that actually makes it more fun to drive. Passing on the highway feels effortless, climbing steep grades feels natural, and you never get that strained engine sound you might expect from a smaller turbo engine. Toyota really nailed the balance here. Of course, we need to talk about price because I know a lot of you are already wondering. The 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid starts at around $55,000, which is actually pretty competitive given what you're getting. The higher trims push closer to $70,000, but even then, you're getting an SUV that can genuinely do it all. Family, hauler, daily commuter, weekend off-roader, and even long-distance road trip machine. Compare that to something like a Land Rover Defender, which can easily run you $80,000 or more when similarly equipped, and suddenly the Land Cruiser looks like a pretty good deal. Even within Toyota's own lineup, it sits in a sweet spot between the 4Runner and the bigger Sequoia. Of course, it's not perfect. If you're someone who loved the V8 soundtrack, you're not going to find that here. The hybrid is quiet, efficient, and powerful, but it doesn't have that same growl. The third row is also a little tight for adults, so if you need full-time 3-row space, you might want to look at the Sequoia. And because it's a hybrid with a lot of tech, long-term maintenance might be more complicated than the old bulletproof V8 models. But honestly, these are small trade-offs when you look at the full picture. Here's something I think people will really appreciate, though. Toyota hasn't forgotten about the Land Cruiser's heritage. Even though it's hybrid now, it still feels like a Land Cruiser. It's still rugged, still dependable, still something you can imagine taking deep into the wilderness and back. And at the same time, it's ready for modern life with better fuel economy, more comfort, and way more tech. It's the best of both worlds. Old school meets high tech. So, what's the final verdict on the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser Hybrid? I'd say Toyota has done something really smart here. They've taken a legendary nameplate and updated it for today without losing what made it special in the first place. It's powerful, it's efficient, it's comfortable, and it's capable. Whether you're a long-time Land Cruiser fan or someone looking at it for the first time, this SUV gives you a lot of reasons to fall in love. And if you ask me, this is one of the most exciting Toyota models we've seen in years. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think the hybrid system makes the 2026 Toyota Land Cruiser better, or do you miss the old V8? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's get a conversation going. And if you enjoyed this review and want more deep dives into the latest cars and SUVs, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.